This is the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast, hosted by David Charlton, and you're listening to this podcast to help you build your own mental toughness, or so that you can support other people or your clients better. Either way, you will learn more about developing this plastic personality trait that all but guarantees that you will perform better and lead a more prosperous life. So today's episode, it's very personal to me. And we're going to be touching on a topic which 12 months ago I would never imagined discussing. I didn't have an interest in it, and I certainly didn't expect to be partaking in this pastime. For those of you that follow me on social media, especially Instagram, where you'll find me on at Mental Toughness Matters, you'll be aware that I've been on a cold water journey for the last year. It's been to aid my recovery from a car accident and to reduce inflammation in my body. Well, today, I've finally got a hugely inspiring guest on the show in this space. I've been trying to get him on for months. Finally, we've managed to find a convenient time to chat. Fenwick Ridley, who recently appeared on Robson Green's Weekend Escapes on BBC Two, showcasing his business H2O Trails, he goes on to tell me about cold water and ice swimming for Team GB today. He also talks about mental toughness and open water ice swimming, cold immersion, and the benefits for people. Fenwick goes on to talk about how it aids his focus and how it's helped him with mental health challenges as well. Right, hi Fenwick, it's great to finally catch up with you. Would you be able to share a little bit about yourself and your background with the listeners? And then we'll go into the whole cold water and ice swimming bit.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us on the podcast. I'm buzzing to be on. I always enjoy having a good chat about our journey, the cold. It's a passion and full-time job. So yeah, I do love to having a bit banter about it. Yeah, so I'm Fenwick Ridley. I'm the owner of H2O Trails up in Northumberland, and we have a lovely little lake where we have regular swim sessions in. We run workshops. We do paddleboarding and kids sessions as well. We've got quite a bit going on. It is just me, so I am a one-man band with the big show. I suppose it's I've got quite a lot of members as well. So I've got a lot of swimmers that come up, but also I've got a lot of people in the winter as well. So yeah, I've been a swimmer ever since I was a kid. I did my first mile in the pool when I was around 6, and I did swim with a swim club for quite a long time, right up until early teens, and I actually started coaching and helping younger kids in the swimming club when I was age 14. 16, I did get into proper teaching and earning a living off teaching kids, families, parents, grandmas, everyone. I taught most of the Tyne Valley. So up in Northumberland, the Tyne Valley, and the whole of Northumberland, everybody knows each other. And I've got a huge reputation in teaching and coaching up in this area. But when I was in the beginning of my 20s, I think I was 20, I did a 10K swim in the pool, and my old coach said to me, I need to take that to open water. I was like, why haven't I? That's so weird. Yeah, I do need to swim a distance in open water. Why is it that I haven't already? I used to paddle and go down the river with pals and swim in the river and stuff like that, but never thought about swimming a distance in the outdoors. And of course I did. I went with a bunch of triathletes, and they all left me. And I got in the water last, and because they were well tuned to getting in and get going, get training. Me, I was wearing an old kayak wetsuit that didn't fit me. I got in there and couldn't get my breathing right. Swam about 25 meters, not even that, and just went, no, I cannot get my breathing right. And it was so different because I was trying to tune into swimming a distance, and eventually I got going, and that was the starting point of me doing a lot of swimming. I mean, a lot. I was doing 600 to 800 mile a year in the open water, and I was doing 10K races here, there, and everywhere, getting up in the top 5 easily. And I got really close to being first in a couple, but yeah, there was always someone a lot faster. But anyway, I stopped competing in some of them races because some of the kids I used to teach, there was a couple of them that used to come swimming with me, and of course I had one of the young lads came past me on my fastest mile. I did like a 17:50 for a mile in the river, and one of the young guys who I've coached before came past me, and I just stood up in the river and watched him in awe going all the way down to the bridge. And then when he stopped, I just was shouting down the river, going, "Yes, lad, go on, yes!" It was beautiful. But it was also at that point I put my goggles on my forehead and started doing a bit of breaststroke, and I was just like, "Oh, that was amazing, just seeing that." And actually, I'm done with the racing. I want to do something different. So then I started doing a lot more adventure swimming. So I started doing a lot more sort of different type of swimming missions and adventures, but also going back probably I would probably be my late 20s, early 30s. I would have done my first sort of cold swims, and I got the fascination of staying outdoors and swimming all the way through. Well, it did take me a little while, because it was quite brutal when I experienced 10 degrees. Oh, without a wetsuit on, I was like, oh my god, that is hard graft. But I was determined, and I knew there was ice swimmers out there, and I was determined to have use of my natural bioprene. I've got a nice amount of chunk on it, and I was convinced I was able to do this. So, and now with Owner of H2O Trails and this lovely lake that I've got, um, I've trained myself so much and habituated and adapted into ice swimming. I'm up on Team GB now for ice swimming, and amongst the top long distance ice swimmers now. And yeah, I've got this fascination to go on further, and I don't really need to go colder. I've been colder. I like it. You know, it's cold when we experience it like 0 degrees. That is cold. That is it hurts. Like and people who say that they really enjoy it, they're unhinged. And yeah, I enjoy it. It's weird because I take it as power and energy. So I think we're going to talk about how we transform and we change the way we perceive and react and adapt. But yeah, I've getting to a point now where it's quite brutal in the cold, and I've found my place where I need to be in my swimming. It's taken all this time, and I've definitely found my place in swimming here. So ice swimming is my main thing.
So how long would you say you've been a serious ice swimmer then?
It's funny because like I actually now that I've like completed a few bigger competitions, I would actually say just this last few years, because all that background time was building me now. So I don't I've only classed myself as a professional ice swimmer, of course, when I started getting some sponsorship. But now this last like 4 or 5 years maybe I've been really trying hard, to go colder, go further. Um, so yeah, it's only this last few years that I've like really pushed myself. Um, but I've been playing around in the cold water for a fair while. Yeah.
What would your definition of mental toughness be as far as ice swimming goes?
Oh, someone that is able to switch off and not give that reaction, not give that. So it's funny because like mental toughness in ice swimming is very, very particular, and we all go up and down all the time. Our body state, our mind state, everything. So sometimes we'll catch ourselves at the top and go, "Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. I've got this. I can get in that water and not give it anything at all. All I can say is when I get in that water, I'm be like, yes, that feels nice." And then other times it's down to the bottom when you're like standing there, and this happens to me as well, getting into the water and you're like, oh God, that hurts so much. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to swim in this. Oh man, I don't know, I can't swim to that, boy. No way. And like get your face in. Oh no, man, painful. Mental toughness comes from someone who is got these very specific attributes of perseverance and being able to have that focus and understanding that it's going to be okay. And I've got the right tools with me to do this. And yeah, there's a whole bag when it comes down to mental toughness for ice swimming. Yeah, no, not a whole bag. There's a huge toolbox to it, and that's time of dedication, reading the body's signals, and looking at hydration, sleep, stress, fuel. Of course, you can't manage the stress level. It's a very difficult one, that one. But someone who is actually on point with some of them things, that makes someone a very tough person to become an ice swimmer. So yeah, someone who's on it and has an understanding and a respect for the cold. That's what makes a good tough ice swimmer.
Oh, you've got me. Yeah, like we can go off at all sorts of angles. So let's start with where you were talking about your mind playing tricks on you. How some days you feel great, some days you don't. I can imagine you've had swims where you felt great, then all of a sudden quickly that's changed. How do you manage
Click of the
that?
fingers. Yeah, click of the fingers, man. And it can just change so quick. And this is where that respect line has to come in and going, right, okay, I've just questioned, am I feeling okay? There's no time for questions. There's no time for questions when you're in that water and actually doing it. If you're not feeling that great at that very precise moment, it's game over. You're getting out. You're going to have your hot chocolate and getting your cake inside you and enjoy the wobbles. Get on board the shiver train. It becomes very precise when it comes down to this. So sometimes we approach the water, well, in a really bad way, and we don't realize it. We get to that water's edge and we feel like, oh God, yeah, it's going to be cold, but I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be good. Yeah. And you get in there and start swimming like, oh no, 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 this is, my head's not in the game. It's quite precise. You do need to have the right decision on board, the right tools to make those correct decisions, should I say. Um, we are we are playing around with like an extreme activity. As something like this goes in towards the mainstream and becomes more popular and becomes a normal thing to talk about, which it wasn't that long ago that if I had mentioned to someone in a pub or a cafe that I'm an ice swimmer and I swim for Team GB, quite often now you'll get someone going, "Oh, right, that's pretty cool." It used to be the point where someone would turn around and go, "What? What are you talking about?" But actually, more and more people are getting in ice tubs, and more people are talking about getting into the cold, and it's becoming a normal thing. And I'm worried that when it gets to this point, that it gets more popular, that some of these best practices and attitudes, they all go out the window. It's an extreme activity that needs care and needs attention to specific science and proper direction of how to achieve. And teaching people about like how it's quite precise on when it comes down to depletion and how our bodies, when we're actually quite depleted, like the likes of hydration, stress, fuel, and rest, these sort of things affect us massively. Like, no, a lot of isomers still don't really manage themselves properly, especially with hydration. So yeah, I mean, the whole rested, stress, and hydration. There's a thing that we say fresh awareness. So it's being aware of each one is starting with fresh. So starting with food, rest, exposure, stress, hydration. So that's what fresh stands for. And that is a brilliant key to give to someone at the very beginning of their journey of doing cold water immersion, or it could be swimming outdoors. It's these things, and it still even sits during the season when it's a bit warmer. Fresh awareness.
I can imagine the ego plays a big part in it, where like people, I mean, I've seen it online myself, where people are trying to beat other people in terms of how long they can go in and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah, man.
you got to be very careful with that.
Colder, harder, longer. This is a really sort of nasty thing to say these days. It's quite hard because you see people like saying, "Oh, I'll get down to zero," and like I did it for 10 minutes, and people are going, "Oh my God, you're so brave," and say, "Oh God, it's so cringy, it's so bad to watch." Like that person like chasing the clock and chasing the thermometer. Yeah, it's just it's quite hard to watch. Like, because ideally people who are like trying to go colder for longer, all you become is an energy burner. Like, yes, you can tackle a bit of inflammation and it's going to support your body in that sort of sense, but mainly what you become is a huge energy burner, and it's pointless, really, unless you're training for something very specific. You do get a bit of balance with habituation adaptation, but really, when we train, like as a ice swimmer, we have to train into management and understanding about supporting ourselves from longer swims. And so it becomes about training in recognition and making sure that we have best practices in place, but also we're like kind of setting our minds into what's to come. And so like if you're racing and actually going long distance on ice swimming. So yeah, there is a big difference between an ice swimmer and a person that's getting into the ice tub. And I suppose I know where the next question is going to be with this is like, well, people who are doing the ice tubs, how long should they be doing it? Just a couple of minutes. Just a couple of minutes is the same metabolic response to if you stayed in for 10, 15 minutes. The only difference between the 10, 15 minutes is that you're burning more energy and cooling more. If you're just staying in between 2 to 5 minutes, you're not really going to get that much cooling. There's not much there. It's a very small amount of cooling. It's a big subject, this one, because we were faced with a lot of people chasing the thermometer and chasing the clock, trying to beat the other person online and be the big person to get them more likes. It's like it just becomes a likes gatherer. Like, it's cringy as out. But the thing is, though, we are all chasing one very particular thing, and that is a release from mental issues. There's a lot of people on this route of getting a good, nice break from a busy brain or from anxiety to, the mental health sort of side. The cold water does help massively. It helps with me with my ADHD. It helps press that reset button and gets me to get back on the track. And it's also helped me with a lot of anxiety as well in the past. And so like there's a lot of people needing it for that. And that, the big point of this is to say, if you do want to take on a bit of either cryotherapy or cold water immersion, or it could be just a stimulus from a cold shower, I would start at a decent temperature where you can work down the temperature gauge and build up. And don't try and aim to get into 0 degrees in 10 minutes. It's like, it doesn't work like that. There's a lot more science involved in that, but for briefly, someone who wants to start doing this, the best way is to start gradual. We've got an online program coming up, and you actually did our inside workshop on the cold, and helping you understand about swimming outdoors in the winter. We're actually taking that to online soon, and it's going to get launched as a basically part of an app, so you can go through it, and it's quite in depth. It's quite big. It's just done in someone's own time.
I can imagine when you're talking there about the whole like starting at a higher temperature, and I suppose for a little time. I know when I first started back in February, I think I filled the tub up in the bathroom. It was maybe about 15 degrees, and literally I lasted about 10 seconds, and I was dancing around like a loony, and then I was out. So it took me a while to build up to it, no doubt.
It's hard.
Just thinking of going back to the ice swimming though. An element of mental toughness for me is and you've alluded to it, is your focus, it's your commitment level essentially, and I would imagine that can cause an issue at times. I know it certainly does in other sports where you're really committed to your craft. You've also got to learn to be able to take a step back and actually, I suppose wind things in. Do you find that can be an issue as an ice swimmer?
Oh yeah, no, because I was saying before, it's quite delicate. It's like click of the fingers, things change, and your responsibility in becoming an ice swimmer is to have a response to that in good time, and know when to step back, and know when to not actually complete that lap, and to actually and just get out of the water. So yeah, you do become super respectful of the body's changes and determination. Oh man, like days when I've not been feeling the greatest, but I know my body's in good form, like levels up nicely. It's mostly down to that's actually put up a massive wall, and sometimes just getting in there and starting off and training in the cold, I eventually snap into this lovely realm of like recognizing myself in the water, because that's it. You forget about this state of mind out of the water, because we have so much more going on, like so much more going on. We forget about this place, and once we're in there, that peaceful solo place is where that's where the magic happens with sort of mental focus. And for people who are well trained and they get into that mode and they recognize that solo sort of training mode and peacefulness in the brain, it's all good. It's perfection. It's powerful, and there's nothing else there. It's empty, but it's powerful. It's so unique, and this comes. For a lot of people who train at quite high level, once that person's into their game and their focus and their skill, it's beautiful. It's a very it's when it comes into like broadcasting someone's sort of ability and muscle and strength. It's quite hard to describe when it comes down to ice swimming though as well, because I talk about this emptiness and this like solo sort of thought process, but still being powerful and in focus with my skill. It's a very different type of sport. Although I don't do much else really. This is my thing. I used to cycle and stuff like that, and I had a really good focus on cycling. I used to cycle all the time. That was my thing, and I've still got massive big thunder thighs from it. But and I used to cycle just constantly all the way through the week, and I would absolutely love going up a nice big hill and destroying myself, because there's something that sits inside me. In fact, actually, it was really funny because this morning I was on the sledge in the gym and I had my wife with us, and she looked at me and went, "Do you know what? I've just started to realize actually how it is with you, what you do. You're really comfortable with being uncomfortable." And I looked at her and went, "I'm best friends." Like, I'm absolutely best friends with being uncomfortable. And it doesn't frighten me. It doesn't make me step back. Because I know what the outcome is. I know where the body's going. I know what good it's doing. And to me, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Being uncomfortable and being in that suit of power and force is enjoyable, and it just makes me more excited and more driven. So yeah, being best friends with being uncomfortable, that's what it's like.
It's funny you say that because in my journey of just going in the tub, not ice swimming, I would say that that's probably one of the big things I've found is, the amount of times I've stood there and thought, not today, but then when you've got in, as you say, that your state of mind changes, and
Hmm.
yeah, you do I think you become you realize, whether you are going to give a speech and a presentation, whether I was going to, I don't know, compete in when I play golf or whatever it is. You, there's no possible way for you to feel confident and great all of the time. You've really just you've got to embrace those feelings, haven't you? Essentially, of being uncomfortable.
That's absolutely right. One of the things that I teach with like mindset training, because quite a lot of people actually find it very hard to train it in at the very beginning, and I use doorways. Every single thing that we do, and everything that we achieve and go for and try and accomplish, has a doorway. And if you can imagine that door in front of you and you standing outside that tub thinking, no, not today, not, I don't think I can do this today. If you visualize that as a door in front of you, at the moment you're not even looking for the keys in your pockets. You're presuming that that door will never open. Well, in actual fact, that door is yours. That door belongs to you. You can open that door if you want. And what we do with this mindset training is, okay, so let's open that door. Think about that in your head. That door is now open. It's not closed. It's an open door. All you need to do now is go through it. So like, let's go through it. Let's get into that tub. Let's get into the water. Let's see what is on the other side of that door. And this sort of way of thinking allows you to actually have an ability to step forwards. And when we start to visualize these sort of things, we do start to gain an inner power and inner strength to be able to step forwards. It's very, very hard just to do it by single thought with nothing else around apart from the busyness, the stresses, the anxiety, because we just collect it all to ourselves. We're really horrible to ourselves when it comes to this. It comes to this, we just collect negativity and like we push ourselves down by going, I don't think I can. Oh no, I've got this to do. Oh no, I've got this, and it's just a collection of disruption. And so we need things to drive us in through these sort of moments. And the likes of that sort of using a door concept, everything has a beautiful door. Every door is completely different. And you're the creator of that door frame and that door.
I'm going to steal that off you.
You can. Yeah. So mental doorways. Yeah.
Mental doorways are. I like that. It's a great analogy. So, what does the future hold? I believe you're chasing world records. Is that right?
Yeah. Fingers, toes, eyes, and arms and legs crossed. I'm hoping, and I'm quite a lucky person because I'm a little bit boss-eyed, so I do get a bit of luck. But when it comes down to my challenges with like these, my sights are on a couple of world records. One that I won't talk about because I'm waiting until it actually happens. And and the other one is now starting to be a little bit smaller. Simply because the guy who's actually went and set the record has made it further, and he's just clocked up 6 kilometers, just under 5 degrees, and that's absolutely, you're getting into inhuman sort of levels here now, mind. I'm fully aware that I'm fully human, like, but this guy is definitely part seal, like. He's managed to actually do this distance, and I've done 3 kilometers just under 3 degrees, and it was without swearing, like, it was proper hard. Like, it was one of the toughest things I've done. I've swum across a glacier. I've done some pretty good cold swims, but this swimming 4 kilometers under 5 degrees, that's mine. I'm going to take that soon. That is already set in my head. I know that I'm going to be doing it soon. I'm allowed to be 2 degrees up from what I did from 3 kilometers. So I know for a fact, give me 2 degrees and I'll give you another 2K, no problem at all. But it doesn't kind of work. I know it sounded really nice there, 2 degrees, 2K. It doesn't kind of work like that. It's very particular. There's a large amount of science that goes behind long distance ice swimming. Technically, I'm an ice marathon swimmer. Marathon ice swimmer. It's not it's not for everyone, and not everybody can do it. It's a very particular game. So hoping that I manage to get this long distance swim in. It might happen this year, it might not. I've been waiting for a couple of years now. But that's the thing about it. It can't just happen when you want it to, because of it being a science, and because of it relying on everything from weather to body state to team, water temperature. So you've got so much that's involved with the mix. But yeah, fingers, toes, eyes crossed. Yeah, everything. We'll see what happens. But I have got my eyes set on doing quite well in the coming competitions that I've got coming up soon, which is I've got GB Championships in the UK January first weekend, and then sorry for the yawn. I told you I was going to yawn at least once. And then it's over to Romania for the European Ice Swimming Championships. And then it'll be the really cold championships in the UK. And then it'll be hopefully either Morocco first, up in the Atlas Mountains. I'll be doing a ice swim up there. And then it'll be over towards Estonia for the another ice championships. Hopefully a busy winter, and hopefully I get these next couple of sponsors to help me out as well, because it's not cheap.
I can imagine all the travels that you're talking about there. Yeah, it sounds like a busy winter. Well,
it is.
Based on what we've talked about, our conversation, do you want to just share with the listeners 3 key takeaways?
Yeah, so I suppose the first sort of takeaway, as I was mentioning before, like, if you're wanting to get involved with getting into the cold, and maybe it could be an ice barrel, ice bath, or something like that, look me up on H2O Trails, and we'll be soon delivering an online course to help with people on getting into ice baths or barrels, or just getting that cold stimulus. It's seeking a professional, seeking someone that's well-winded. If you're wanting some proper guidance, you need to get some guidance, not on social media. So social media platform is the most unsteady place to get guidance and coaching, because everybody seems to be a coach, and it's quite difficult. The other sort of takeaway is, if you're, I think it's like the big thing about mental health, really. I think I've got probably about 80% of my people who come up to the lake are actually in need of the water to help them in the head is you can definitely 100% achieve a nice switch off from using the cold, and you don't need to go under. I mean, you don't need to go all the way down to 10 degrees and below. Anything from 15 to 10 is actually going to give you a bit of benefit, and it could be just a shower. Turn your shower onto cold and get yourself in there and get it on your legs or your arms. You don't need to be across the top of the head, but that will definitely give you a little bit of a sensation that you might then start thinking, actually, I could get into the water. So the takeaway from that is you can definitely, no matter who you are, you can definitely embrace the cold and get a benefit from it. And again, look us up on H2O Trails. There's even a web page to show you how to have a cold shower. So yeah.
Fantastic, Fenwick. Yeah, love the conversation. I was going to say, can you point the listeners towards your social media, your website? I think you've pretty much done that anyway. Have another pop.
Yeah, sure, man. So H2O Trails, and not H20, H2O Trails, and it's .co.uk. But you can find me on social media on Facebook, but mainly Instagram, Fenwick Ridley. So that's FENWICK. So Fenwick Ridley, but also YouTube as well. Type us into YouTube. There's a few things in there, especially on my river trekking. So scaling the river from sea to source. There's that takes a lot of mental preparation, and so you can find us through any of them social handles and give us a follow, and especially H2O Trails on Instagram as well. We're just about to put up a lot more videos on there, and we're trying to. You'll probably see us also on Channel 4 online soon, as well as BBC, and the same next year as well. So keep your eyes out. Don't be afraid to get in touch, and hopefully we can help and support you getting into a barrel or an icy shower or something like that. But this is my forte. So always lovely to help and support other people. And hey man, thank you very much as well for getting me on this. It's always nice to have a chat about it.
Yeah, no, thank you as well. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. As this podcast episode is released on Friday the 19th of January, I'm now at day 353 of consecutive cold water dips. From a peaceful cold tub in the back garden, where I escape the noise from my young kids, to cold showers, to swimming at Sweet Hope Lofts with Fenwick and his gang, to Lake Windermere in the Lake District, the North Sea and the Irish Sea. I've had a great time this last 12 months. For me, the benefits of cold water have been crazy and totally unexpected. My main goal was to get back playing golf after suffering nerve damage in my right hand and arm, and interrupted the feeling there, as well as helping with pain management, as this time last year I had 6 weeks where sleeping was very, very difficult. I was in agony and spent a large chunk of time sleeping on the floor. So I'm hugely grateful for Fenwick's advice over the last year, and I'm really looking forward to what this year has to offer. 2023 for me was most definitely the year of cold water, and that was the case in our house too for my wife. 2024, well, I'm going to keep on going with this and look to get a bit more adventurous, but certainly not to the level of Fenwick. Absolutely no chance. I'll happily jump in, I'll experience the cold shock response, relax for a few minutes, and then I'm going to get out. I've learned a few lessons last year which were a tad scary if I'm honest, so I'm never going to be an ice swimmer. No chance. I'll happily go with that feeling of being woken up and having lots of energy to attack the day, as well as reducing any pain and swelling in the body. Thankfully, it has helped me in that respect. I am back on the golf course, and one thing that I have noticed on my journey with regards to cold water too is how I get in my own way. There's been so many times where I thought, absolutely not, there is no way I can get in today. And then when I did, I was able to regulate my breathing and then get through that pain barrier. I was able to break down the door, as Fenwick alluded to, that was telling me no chance. And then, when I've done that repeatedly, a number of times, I've started believing, well, what's possible here? What other situations are out there where I talk myself out of things? It's really helped me recognise that I'm in control of my destiny. So, yeah, some food for thought for you today. I just want to leave you with the thought or the question, where do I get in my own way? Where do you talk yourself out of things? Cold water's helped me, and I'm really grateful for that, and it might you. But if not, certainly just ask yourself those questions. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sports psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.